Good morning, everybody. It is it is a great day, man. I tell you, I'm traveling. Forgive the new background and forgive if I've got a little echo. I can't control the audio in a hotel room. They get a little pissed off if you do things like, put acoustic foam and stuff on the wall. Yeah, it's been a good day, man. Good trip, and got a lot to talk about today. Some really big news. We're going to talk about Kentucky Derby a little bit. Going to talk about bird flu H1N1 is doing some not so great things. We're going to talk about Donald Trump, of course. He's having problems on multiple fronts. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And I want you to forgive me. I'm going to look away a little bit. I am traveling. I don't have my normal riser, which keeps my monitor right here in front of the camera. So I'm going to have to look down and away. Be patient with me. Hang in there. A lot to talk about. You're going to love it. Good morning, everybody. Never mind. I tell you, I've actually got a workaround here, but the problem is the desk that I've got here in the hotel room is not a real desk. It's a credenza. It's 16 inches deep, and there's just not enough room. I've got to set it to the side. So yeah, I'm doing the best I can, brother. I'm doing the best I can. This morning we've got let's start with the good news. We're in the Big D. Shooting live from the Arts District in the Big D. It's just beautiful town. I tell you, had a really nice thunderstorm last. I don't know about you, but I sleep great during a thunderstorm. I really do. Just great time. We came into town to see Randy Rainbow. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity, but if you get the chance, go to a Randy Rainbow show. He is hilarious. I mean, hilarious. He's one of those things that COVID brought us. One of the silver linings from COVID. There's a lot of things that actually we got. The Midas Touch Network came out of COVID. Those guys decided during COVID that they were going to get to work. They were gonna start reporting the news. They were going to start getting active. COVID gave them everything was shut down and gave them the opportunity to do it. Same thing with Randy Rainbow here. Before COVID, if you were going to do a variety show or theater, there was a pipeline to do that. There was a pipeline to do that, and it went through New York and went through LA, and you had to. I mean, he was in New York doing his best, but when COVID hit, went to YouTube. Everybody went to YouTube. Hell, this is how I came out in TikTok during COVID. I mean, my granddaughter was over at the house all the time, and she's like, "Grandpa, I'm tired of hearing what you got to say. Give me your phone." She loaded TikTok on my phone and said, "Here, tell these people," and the rest is history. But Randy Rainbow, who will tell you he was aspiring, but was not a professional, honed his craft and found his audience on YouTube. And the rest is history. I mean, he just we got the next to the last show in a 58 city tour. I mean, that's just an amazing story of talent like that that's just coming out. We always think about all the terrible stuff that came out of COVID, but that's the kind of thing that just it just makes you happy. I mean, it just makes you happy. I mean, look at the success with Midas Touch. They're changing the world, folks. They no longer are we stuck to the corporate media narratives. You get the rest of them, like Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. You really get that out of Midas Touch, and independent media. And then you've got tons of talent. Hal Sparks. Hal Sparks is another one. He's been performing forever, but during COVID, he exploded because YouTube. I'm telling folks, if you get a chance, just break thumbs up, hit Google, find Hal Sparks, find Randy Rainbow when they're near you, and go check them out. They are fantastic. I always enjoy Hal Sparks' show online, but his live performances with Nerd Halen, you're not going to believe this guy's voice. I mean, my jaw dropped. Me and Mr. Texas Paul were out in the audience, and we're like, yeah, this is going to be a good time. We like Hal, this, that, the other. I'm sure it's going to be. And then he started singing, and then, I mean, just jaw dropped. I'm telling you, COVID did bring us some good things. And more good news, the Kentucky Derby was yesterday. We had a surprise. Everybody loves when the underdog wins. Everybody loves when the underdog wins. Mystic Dan pulled it out. He was 18-1 shot. Photo finish. He beat Sierra Leone, and who was the other one? Let me look it up real quick. Sierra Leone, and it was place, and I don't know whose show. I don't know. Somebody in the audience tell me who was show. Forever Young was show. Fierceness, who was the odds-on favorite, nowhere to be found, man. I mean, he was so far back in the pack, people thought he was selling hot dogs. Man, I hope your coffee is as good as mine. I still have good coffee. We travel. I love K-Cups, man. I love K-Cups. We're able to bring the good stuff with us. Thank you, Brian Peach. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I appreciate the support. That was a great Kentucky Derby. It really was. What more can you ask for? Photo finish, long shot. I call 18-1 a long shot. I'm not going to throw money down on an 18-1. I hope you did. I hope you all put a ton of money on Mystic Dan. That is great. That is great. I heard somebody this morning make a comment, though, that when I hear things that aren't just right, it's like a piece of glass in my brain. I just can't let it go. They're like, oh man, the bookies are hurting this morning. Everybody was all about fierceness. They had to. No, it doesn't work that way, folks. The bookies win no matter who wins. Those odds, it's all math. Those odds are set up based on how much risk is out there. And no matter what happens, don't feel sorry for the bookies. No matter who crosses that finish line first, the bookies get paid. They do. They did not lose their butts. That just doesn't happen. Know that when you're gambling, the cards are stacked against you literally. I mean, the house always has the better odds. They do. The bookies are always going to get paid. We did get a little bit of bad news yesterday. Dick Rutan died. Most of y'all aren't going to remember who Dick Rutan is unless you're just an old guy like me. But Dick Rutan died. He and Gina Yeager here, no relation to Chuck Yeager, were the first people to fly around the world nonstop. No refueling, no anything. You'll probably remember the plane more than the people. Let me pull up Voyager for you. Y'all remember this back in the 80s? I know I got some old folks in the audience just like me. Y'all remember Voyager? Yeah, Dick Rutan made his final flight. He's no longer with us. Which brings us to some scary news. Folks, I'm telling you, I mentioned COVID earlier and the silver lining and whatnot. And one of the other things, if you talk to somebody, when I was younger, they're not around anymore, but folks that lived through the Depression, events like that, they change you forever. And whether you like it or not, COVID changed you. It did. And one of the things for us in our community is it made us smarter. It did. It made us go out there, get vaccinated, pay attention to what's going on. A lot of people that didn't know how viruses worked learned how viruses work. Will work for beans. Thanks for the support, man. I appreciate you guys. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the best. But yeah, COVID made us smarter. It really did. Not only smarter about vaccines, I'm not talking about the idiots, the anti-vaxxers, the people that want to make politics out of it. Those jackasses were lost, and there were always lost. But people like you, good folks, normal everyday Americans, got smarter. A lot of people didn't know what a viral load was. A lot of people didn't know, that they thought if you got a vaccine, it prevented you from getting a disease forever. And people learned that no, that's, vaccines aren't prophylaxis. They're not, it's not like wrapping yourself in a giant condom. You're still exposed to the viruses. They will still infect you. It's just what happens inside your body and what that means for everyone around you. If a vaccine can keep a virus from replicating extensively in your body, then you don't feel it. You don't feel the effects of it. And when you're talking, and if you do develop a cough or you do develop a sneeze, you're not blasting out massive quantities of virus with each one of those. And it's a numbers game. It is a numbers game. And, people like the conspiracy nutters and the right-wing freaks want to talk about China and Wuhan and all that. And I've said it multiple times, and I will say it again because it's important. It is important. What they were doing in that lab in Wuhan was not nefarious. They weren't making weapons. COVID was never weaponized. Believe me, folks, the weapons that are out there, the biological weapons that are out there, would make COVID look like a children's cupcake party. I mean, what happened with COVID was bad, but nothing compared to what a weaponized virus would do. Talk to anyone in the military, they understand. Just take my word for it. They've looked at the DNA sequences in this, the RNA sequences in this particular virus and COVID. It was not fiddled with. It was not weaponized. It was just a zoonotic disease, and that's where I'm going with this. Glad you could be here, Mike Bundy. Let's do some science church this morning. So yeah, we learned a lot. We did. We learned that these diseases and being inoculated and vaccinated and the importance of it, keeping the viral loads down, et cetera. But more importantly, we learned that the investments we were making in just global, every university system every major university system in the world has laboratories studying zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases, if you don't remember, are diseases that spread from animals to humans, that are sourced in animals. In COVID's case, it was from bats. We know that it originated in bats. But we're studying those diseases so that we see them coming, so that we know what's coming. And folks, we've got another one that we know is coming. We know it. And the reason I want to talk about it isn't, ooh, big, bad, scary disease, watch out, oh, be afraid. No, it's not that. Not at all. Nothing like that. And in fact, I want to put your mind at ease. This is one that can already spread to humans. We already know about it. We know in its current form, it is like, the nutters always said, oh, COVID's just the flu, which was idiocy. No, this one is really, really just the flu. It's the bird flu, H5N1. And right now, we've had some news on the H5N1 front. Turns out that it's been a busy little beaver. And it is in cattle now. The bird flu is in cattle. More specifically, where they found it was in dairy cattle. And again, no panic, no nothing. Pasteurization absolutely kills this virus. 100%. This is not something you have to be terrified about. There's no impending pandemic. This is a warning for scientists to give us a heads up. They are finding, they look in our commercial supplies, they are finding the H5N1 viruses are destroyed, the parts, the bits, the pieces, after pasteurization. And we've had a case now. A worker here in Texas came down with H5N1 from working with dairy cows. They isolated him, and it's all good. They're doing the right things because the smart people are out there. And thanks for the support. I appreciate you. We have to yes, I agree, Mike Bundy, 100%. We have to get Big Pharma under control. What they're doing with drugs and stuff is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But I do want to give you a heads up here. This is happening, folks. This is happening. And there's a problem, and it's an immigration problem. It's making this complex. We saw with COVID, the original strains weren't that virulent. They weren't. We just weren't used to them. It was new to humans. So it was something your body had never seen before. So even though it wasn't that virulent of a strain at the time, it was a problem. People were dying. But then it mutated, and it got smarter, and it got more aggressive as more and more cases happened. This happened. Well, we've got a wrinkle in the mix here, and it really, really just shines a light on this whole immigration issue. See, the guy that got it was a migrant. He was an immigrant. And immigrants don't report. They don't like to go to the hospital because of our broken ass immigration system. And I want you to really pay attention to that. We're talking about dairy farmers here that are hiring immigrants. Thanks for the support, Rob. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. They're hiring immigrants because they need the labor. We Democrats are trying to fix the system so that we can vet people, so we can give those workers documentation. Hey, yeah, you want to come here and work? You want to work in our dairy farms? You want to keep the price of milk cheap for us? Great. We're glad you're here. Thank you. Let us vet you. Here you go. Here's documentation so that if you get sick on the job, you can go to the hospital. Because right now, the way it works is under the stupid Republican system where they just punish people and hurt people. If they go to the hospital and if they have bird flu or anything serious at all, they are immediately deported. They stabilize them and deport them. So they don't go and they don't report. And that, my friends, is how COVID went bad. Omicron and the later variants of COVID were much worse than the original variants. They were much worse. And they got that way because somebody got sick. Somebody didn't go to the hospital. They went out to Chick-fil-A and coughed all over everybody because they didn't believe in getting vaccinated. And none of those numbskulls believed in getting vaccinated. And they were just a walking Petri dish for variants. Cloud Dragon says, at Rhonda Wilson, he jettisoned the plans Obama had made about readiness for such a crisis. Exactly. The Obama administration paid attention to what was going on with these zoonotic diseases. Every scientist, every doctor in the world is telling you this is where the diseases are coming from that are going to hurt us. They're going to mutate out of animals into humans. We are not going to be able to respond to them because our immune systems haven't been exposed to them before. Then you're going to get idiots like the anti-vaxxers and the right-wingers that want to politicize this stuff. It's about your freedom, man. It's about your freedom. Freedom to make everybody die. That are going to go out and they're going to do stupid shit. They're going to go to their kids' baseball game, coughing all over everybody. And they're not going to wear a mask. Remember, folks, masks are not for you. Masks do not stop you from breathing in viruses. Viruses are too small. You can get through a mask. What a mask is for, ask any surgeon. The mask isn't for him. That's what the plastic face shield is for. The mask isn't for him. The mask is for the patient that's on the table. The mask is for everybody around you that you give a shit about. Because it catches the droplets in your breath. Those are large enough, they hit the mask and they stop. That stops the viruses from spreading. And right now we have a situation where we have bird flu. We know it's transmissible to humans. We've had our first case. We know that we don't know how far it's spread. We know it's in cattle. And if it's in cattle, it's everywhere. I cannot stress to you how much diseases that are in cattle. Look at mad cow disease. If you think those things spread in humans, they spread like crazy in livestock. They just do. And ranchers and farmers don't want to deal with this stuff. They don't want another thing that they've got to inoculate for. They definitely don't want something like brucellosis. That's another bad one that's been around forever. Every state in the union, if your herd gets brucellosis, they will cull your herd. They will kill every damn cow you have. And ranchers don't want that, so they don't report this stuff. It's the meat packers that catch it because the government makes them test. So I'm telling you, folks, thanks for the support, Lori. I appreciate you. I really do. Thanks for keeping us going live. So what I'm telling you is, folks, this whole government is bad thing, we've got to vote that out of existence. We do. We've got to end the Republican Party because that's its core. Government's bad. My rights. It's my rights to go out and cough all over you and give you bird flu. Because that's what's happening, folks. If we know about one case, the doctors will tell you there's 100 more out there that they don't know about. And the Republicans are blocking any reform in our immigration system so that, I mean, look at this situation, folks. There are not lines of Americans out there waiting for that job to shovel cow shit. Because that's exactly what those jobs are. In a modern milking system, it's computer controlled. It's amazing. You can look it up on YouTube. Go take a look at it for yourself. They are amazing systems. They thanks for the support. Phantom Pup. That's a cool name, man. That is a cool name. Thanks for the support, man. Look, these modern systems, they train the cows to come for food. These systems are a multi-purpose system. They dispense their vitamins. The cows come in, they line up to get into the stalls. The stalls rotate and move. They sit there, they eat, they get their supplements, everything. It's computer controlled. Some of them aren't that advanced. You still got a human there that cleans the teats and then puts the suction cups on them. A lot of them are just computer controlled now. But what's not computer controlled is what comes out the other end of the cow, because you've got to keep those stations clean. And folks, there are not lines of Americans waiting to shovel cow shit for fast food wages. There just aren't. Those jobs are going to immigrants. Your milk prices are low. Thank an immigrant. Thank an immigrant. The dairy farmers want them. The immigrants want the jobs. For Christ's sake, they travel to get these jobs. And then you've got Republicans saying, well, he doesn't have a PhD. He's they're not sending their best and their brightest. No, they're not. No, the guy that shows up to shovel cow shit, no, he's not a PhD. Is he the best and the brightest? No, he's not. He's a guy that'll shovel cow shit for fast food wages, and we want him to do the job. A farmer wants him to do the job. You want your milk to be $3.25 a gallon instead of $5.50 a gallon. Everybody wants this to happen. But what do Republicans do? They're going to punish this guy. They're going to make his life hell. They're going to play politics with it and try to claim that this guy that came over here to shovel cow shit, he's muling fentanyl. Yeah, he's selling them drugs for the cartels. To who? Cows? Yeah, I mean, come on, man. We Democrats are trying to fix this. We're trying to vet the system so that, hardcore criminals and crap, we can vet them. We can, have biometric scans. The guy shows up, put your thumbprint on the sensor, beep. Oh, no, my friend, you're not coming in the country. You aren't. Or if he sneaks in the country, because there's over a 1,200-mile border, if he sneaks in the country, when he gets arrested or tries to do anything that requires a biometric scan, he's immediately caught and sent the hell out of the country. Does it multiple times, he goes to prison here. That's what we Democrats are trying to do. But Republicans are wanting the crisis because they want to cry fentanyl. Well, guys, they're ushering in the next pandemic. It's not about politics anymore, folks. This is documented. It's documented. Bird flu has mutated out of birds. It's in cattle, and it's gone from cattle to human beings. And if it's in human beings, it will mutate and it will get worse. And we will be fighting a pandemic because Republicans want to play games with the border instead of just doing what government does and fix problems. And it's just that simple, folks. Oh, forgive me. Man, that coffee's good. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. I really do. I found these K-cups that are Kona blend. Oh, I want to show you. I got this yesterday from Randy Rainbow. Actually, we made the cup, but they signed it for me. Isn't that cool? I love that. I'm going to keep that one on the shelf. You'll see that one on the shelf at home when we get back home. So I want to introduce you to Ben Borger. Moving on. Talking about cattle is a good segue to Ben Borger. Ben Borgers is an A&M graduate. And I got to tell you, as a Texan, Texans in the audience will tell you. They will. A&M used to be a real point of pride in this country, in this state, pardon me. It did. Texas A&M used to be a real point of pride in this state. And then starting with Phil Gramm, the Republicans decided that it was going to be their little pet institution. And it's become a damn joke. It really has. It went from being a nationally recognized college that you wanted to send your kids to for engineering. Hell, it was starting to compete with Caltech and MIT in their engineering program way back in the day. And now it's just a joke, man. It is. And old Ben Borgers here, and the reason I go from cattle to A&M, because most of your vets, your really good vets, came out of A&M. Your veterinarians, not veterans, veterinarians, came out of A&M. It was a really, yeah, exactly. I love you folks. Caltech. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It's exactly right. Caltech. Still reading your comments. I know I got to look down. I'm sorry, folks, but yeah, we'll get through it. But it's not that way anymore, and it's just a damn shame. It really is a damn shame. And old Ben Borgers here has 2 degrees from A&M. Information technology and accounting. So he went on to form an accounting firm called BF Borgers. And the SEC just put him out of business. That's big for the SEC to do that. Not just we're going to find, not that we're just going to, go back and review everything you've done or make you reorganize. No, they went for what is considered corporal punishment, the death penalty by the SEC. They can no longer be accountants, period. BF Borgers is history. I've got a quote here from the SEC. They said BF Borgers was shut down and charged with deliberate and systematic failure. They engaged in, quote, massive fraud, unquote, and they were a, quote, sham audit mill, unquote. If you had a business and you wanted to go public with it, and your business was, say, not the best, it's BF Borgers, burger fries, and you wanted to go public, and you needed an audit, but you really weren't going to do that great in your audit, you hired BF Borgers because they would just pump out whatever you wanted, basically. Over 75% of the audits they found did not meet GAAP principles. The SEC found. Why is that big news? Guess who Trump Media hired to do its audits before it went public? You can't get away from sleaze with these people. You just can't get away from sleaze with these people. Trump Media, this is the beginning of Trump's terrible week, by the way. BF Borgers is shut down. The company that did the audit on Trump Media is gone. It's history. They now have to go out and hire. Unfortunately, I'd like to tell you that they're going to have to go hire somebody with some principles, but that's not the case. BF Borgers isn't the only audit mill out there. There are others. And hopefully the SEC is doing a major crackdown, and this isn't the only one that we get shut down. But there are accounting firms out there with no morals, no scruples. And I promise you, guys like Donald Trump have them in their Rolodex. Oh. Tara McHugh says, Texas Paul, please consider having a monthly option for donations. Not always able to jump on live, but I always watch the recording. It would be great to provide support when I can't be on live. Tara, let's talk about that for a second. Thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate the support, and thank you for bringing it up. I'm getting that a lot, and I've resisted it. And I tell you why I've resisted it. I don't do a Patreon. I don't do anything like that. I figure I produce a show, I produce a product. If you like it and want to support it, great. That's fantastic. To me, things like Patreon feel like gatekeeping. Because the important thing is you and me and our community getting together and talking. You know, you talk to me as much as I talk to you. I sit here, I'm looking down, I'm reading what you have to say. If we start doing memberships, then you've got, some people have green text and some don't. And there are folks out there that just, I'll be honest with you, we want them here. We do. We want to be part of the community, but they just can't. They can't. And I want them here. And it really separates the groups. So there are a lot of you that want to do memberships, and it's kind of cool because you get the emojis and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, Mrs. Texas Paul has been on me to do this. Y'all aren't the only ones. But I want a commitment from you folks. Okay, you win. I'll set up memberships. But there's going to be a lower level of membership that's only a few bucks. You know, you can do tiers. And I know you folks that want to support the show that are patrons. We have patrons that support the show at a very high level. You see them. There's going to be a lower level there. And for the folks that still have the gray text, you can gift memberships. And part of your support for the show is I want no one with gray text. And I don't mean that like I want all your money and all that shit. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want tiers. Everybody gets every biggest membership tax, or I'm not doing it. You folks promise me, you folks that are asking me for the ability to support, I want part of your support to be no gatekeeping. Everybody gets green text. You will gift those memberships to people that damn it, man. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Most of my life, I was just a working stiff. I didn't get the upgraded package of cable, much less support some guy out on the internet. And there's folks out there that are living day to day that we want them here. They're important. They're important parts of our community. But you got to promise me I will do the memberships, but y'all will gift those memberships so that we're not gatekeeping. And I promise you we'll put some cool emojis out there. Y'all okay with that? Y'all happy with that? I mean it. This is a community. This is us. This isn't me. Tell me what you think about that. Are y'all okay with that? And I would really like for you to go to realtexaspaul.com. My information is there. If you don't feel comfortable putting it in the live chat, but I want your input on what those tier levels are be. They basically set it up to have a minimum of 3 tiers. What do you want those tier levels to be? What do you know? Because look, this isn't about making bank for me. It's about getting the message out. So I want to hear from you folks what you think those levels should be. I appreciate the support, Roy. I really do. Thank you for keeping everything working. All right, enough of talking about money. I hate talking about money. I do. I hate talking about money. Let's get back to Trump's no good, very bad week. There was a pastor, I played it in a previous show a couple shows back, that you saw that did an amazing job. You know, folks, I don't follow an Abrahamic religion. I don't. I don't. I grew up in it. I grew up Catholic. But I do science. And I had to come up with my own religion because I do believe that there is a creator to the universe. The systems work that way, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into religion. I'm just not. But I got no problem with a real Christian. I really don't. Or even a real, like a real Muslim. Not this tortured shit. Like we have Christian nationalism here, and the evangelicals convert Christianity into a religion of hate and division. They do. They do. The same thing happens in Islam. If you look at what Islam really teaches, it's a very peaceful religion. It really is a very peaceful religion. Yes, it's got the same old text. It's an Abrahamic religion. It's got the old craziness, stone people to death, shit, this, that, and the other. But what Muhammad preached was peaceful. It was. Judaism is all old school. and it's divided among people that believe that every word is the word of God and people that believe that it's parables and stories, yada, yada. Anyways, you get the point. I have no problem at all with a real, honest to goodness Christian. Some of my best friends in my life, I mention them all the time. George Termiska, one of the greatest guys in the world. One of those people that would walk up to you and just smile to you. What brought the room up with his presence. Newest Bill says, we are all members of humanity. Yeah, we are. Good point. Good point. Well, look, Trump has a Christian problem right now. I played you that clip of the pastor, the mega church pastor that had enough. The Trump Bible was it for him. And he railed about this is not of God and his Christianity. And again, this is not about religion. I don't want to lose you. Hang in there. I'm not going all religion on you. This is about politics. And his whole point was, we're losing the script. We're losing what the Bible tells us. We're losing what our own beliefs say. These people that are making politics and religion the same are doing the devil's work and yada, yada. I mean, it was good. It was good. His congregation was silent because, they were all Trump supporters. They were dead silent. But when he wrapped it up, he got, but the message was something needed to be said. Well, that's spreading. Those pastors that are standing up and spreading that message are giving cover to folks like this. And I want you to see, this is just your average actual Christian has something to say about Donald Trump.
The Savior I follow wasn't a chronic liar and cheater and didn't rack up 91 criminal indictments. Hi, I'm Sandy, and I'm a former two-time Trump voter. But for the first time in over 50 years of voting in presidential elections, I will not vote Republican. I am abandoning my party this year. It's personal. I refuse to have my strong Christian faith manipulated and distorted by a man who has already convinced far too many good people of faith that he is their savior. The Savior I follow didn't rape and humiliate women. The Savior I follow wasn't a chronic liar and cheater and didn't rack up 91 criminal indictments. The Savior I follow didn't preach chaos, hate, and vengeance, but quietly declared, if ye are not one, ye are not mine. I refuse to follow an angry, amoral, self-obsessed, blind guide. And that's why Donald Trump is never going to get my vote again.
Boom. Drop the mic, walk off stage. I mean, it just doesn't get any clearer than that, does it? And that's a big problem. That is a big problem. Back in the 80s and 90s, there was a guy by the name of Ralph Reed that went around to all the churches. And he said, look, I can get political money to flow into your churches. You just got to get people to vote for Republicans. And they made that deal. They did. They made that deal. Ralph Reed had a stable of superstar pastors that would travel around from church to church to church. And if you would preach Republicanism in your church, he would provide you with pastors that would come in, and it meant money in those plates, in those collection plates. And the churches just drank it up. They did. They just drank it up. And what has resulted is Republican Jesus. AR-15 carrying, immigrant hating Jesus. And real Christians have had enough. And this is where it gets to be politics. I told you this was politics. This wasn't religion. Republicans cannot exist as a party without evangelical voters. And I mean all of them. See, we outnumber Republicans. We do. The difference is they show up more than we do because their core voter is an evangelical. This is what God told them to do. They're going to show up every election. So it doesn't matter that we have 30 or 40% more people when half of us don't show up. So this is a big deal. This entire movement, you know, Lindsey Graham said, if we nominate Donald Trump, this is going to be the destruction of our party and we're going to deserve it. That was a rare moment of candidness. That was the truth. There is a line for these people. And when you start threatening their immortal souls by telling them that Trump is their savior and they need to go out and buy a Trump Bible, you're going to lose these people. You are. And fortunately for us, Nita Hansen says, May 4th is election day for a lot of people. Please vote if you haven't already. Amen. Amen. Pay attention. There are Republicans. That's another strategy. Just side note. Thank you, Nita. Thank you for your comment. Side note, another strategy the Republicans use is they have these weird off-date elections. They do it here in Texas like crazy. You have to pay attention. You have to Google all the time what elections are coming up. We got elections coming up here in Texas. This Tuesday, there will be elections here in Texas. It's crazy. It's what they do because their people show up. Our people, we're busy. We have lives. Folks, you have to become militant about this. Kay Lane, good point. Now we're going to talk about Hicks here in just a little bit. More problems for Donald Trump. He's laid out his defense. And we talked about this last show, but Ben Meiselas and Michael Popak, who I both immensely respect, had a great clip that they put out that I want you to see. Not everybody gets to see these, and this is something I really want all of you to see. Talking about Trump's attacks. They're going two directions. One, that Trump is a victim and that Michael Cohen was blackmailing him. And two, the other way they're running these simultaneously is that Michael Cohen went rogue and did this all by himself with no authorization for Trump. And Ben Meiselas and Michael Popak just lay that bare wholeheartedly. Here, let me just show you the clip.
And I think this is the simplest argument to make to the jury, too. If Michael Cohen went rogue and did things that he wasn't supposed to do at all, that weren't in a retainer, that Cohen went rogue, assume that's the argument, then why did Donald Trump pay him?
Right.
And then why would Donald Trump pay him extra?
Right. Rogue payments. Rogue
You
premium.
are so rogue. You are acting so out of authority that I'm giving you a bonus.
You're
I
back
am
out of
going
guy.
to give you triple the money because you are a rogue, awful person.
That's
Come
so
on,
good.
that's the most obvious.
Yeah. That's what I've been trying to tell folks. And you get people on the corporate media, and they have just been going on and on and on about happy birthday, Linda Orndorff, longtime member of the community. Glad to see you. Thank you for the support. This is not hard, folks. That's what I've been telling you. The corporate media, they've got to sell this scariness all the time. They'll never tell you that, yes, this is untested in court, but really every element of this is not hard to prove. And that's what I told you. They just have to hold the books up and say, this was the payment. Here's the canceled check with the signature on it, so we know it was done. Now we have to prove that it was done on behalf of the campaign and that Donald Trump knew it. And that is where Hope Hicks comes in. And we've got a great clip here from George Conway talking about Hope Hicks' testimony. I told you, we talked about this in the last show about Hope Hicks' testimony, and I told you, don't sleep on her. She knows where the bodies are buried, and she's not some, little fashionista babe in the woods. She is highly educated. She comes from a background, a consulting background. She is sharp, and man, did she split the baby. She bawled like a baby herself and came off as this, oh, Donald, I'm so sorry. This is just killing me. But you did it. Her testimony just absolutely destroyed Trump. Let me let George Conway explain this to you.
What stood out to you from her testimony?
Well, that dramatic moment where she testified that Donald Trump knew about the payments. And, he lied to her about, she didn't believe him, but that Michael Cohen had done that out of the goodness of his heart. But she put in Donald Trump's mouth the fact that he understood that those payments were made on his behalf before the election by Michael Cohen. And that's just, that's devastating testimony. It absolutely corroborates Michael Cohen's story, which has been corroborated in numerous respects. And it shows that he knew that when he was signing those checks with the backup that said, and he was doing this at the Resolute desk, for goodness sake, that when he saw the backup said legal retainers, he knew that wasn't true. And that goes to his intent to falsify business records. And even if you accepted the lie, the obvious lie that Trump told to Hope that she didn't believe that, Michael just did this on his own, it was still a campaign finance violation because he was essentially, Michael Cohen, at least temporarily, was giving $130,000 for the benefit of Donald Trump's campaign. And that's
game, set, match. It's over because that was the element that they had to prove. See, he's not charged with it drives me nuts that they call it the hush money trial. It is not the hush money trial. It has never been the hush money trial. Yes, the hush money payments were crimes. They should have been prosecuted. They were crimes. But the statute he's charged with is in the state of New York, lying to cover up, falsifying records to cover up an existing crime. The payments themselves prove the crime happened. That's not the case. The case is what Hope Hicks just delivered for Alvin Bragg. They did it for the campaign. Donald Trump knew about it. They knew it was about, the campaign being in trouble. They didn't need stories going around that he's sleeping with hookers and porn stars and everything else on top of the Access Hollywood tape. They did it. They covered it up, and that's the crime. That is a felony. It doesn't matter that it hasn't been prosecuted before. Every law on the books has its first prosecution, and the fact that Donald Trump is the first prosecution in this does not matter one whit, and they just proved their case. Period. It's done. It's done. Now, I will tell you, there is many a slip betwixt a cup and a lip. Legally, I will tell you, this is done. That's it. Hope Hicks just ended this trial. But still, you have the jury. And this is what worries me. Is if there is one person that they managed to get on that jury that for no reason they will not convict Donald Trump. It does not matter that they made their case. All that matters is that all of those jurors will unanimously vote to convict. That's all that matters. Because if Judge Merchan has to set aside their verdict, which he can do, he can legally set aside their verdict and he can find a verdict of guilty. The judge has that authority. But it gets overturned every time. Just about every time. So yeah, take heart in the fact that Donald Trump just had his beloved Hope Hicks destroy him. And he went insane. He went insane on social media. He did. He knows this is the end. And there's a comment here that I just caught out of the corner of my eye. There you go. I misread it. Jeanette Cook, it's a good point. Paul, the crime is writing off the money as an honest legal expense. Yeah, they lied about what the money was for. That's the crime. And she just proved it. She just proved it. I misread your statement. I thought you were just going to thank you for that comment. But yeah, that's it, folks. That's as far as criminally convicting Donald Trump, it is over. They have proven their case. If the jury is a normal jury, they will be able to sit down at the end of this trial in their summation and walk them through A, B, C, done. There is no argument to be made. And you can argue all day long that you think Michael Cohen went rogue or that you think Michael Cohen was trying to blackmail Trump and this other. None of that holds water. None of that is good. A normal person is not going to find that reasonable. They just aren't. The only thing we have left to fear is that the defense managed to get someone on that jury that is willing to hang that jury no matter what. So time will tell. This will be over in a few short weeks. We'll have a verdict. And yeah, Donald Trump's going to prison. Donald Trump is going to prison. Before we go, there's one more thing that I want to show you. You know, I was pretty hard on Kristen Welker. I really was. Thank you for the support, Cecilia. I appreciate you. No, thank you for all you do. You let me do this full time, and I'm grateful for the support. I really am. Aaron Rupar did a really good job of breaking up the Kristen Welker interview with Tim Scott. And there's a couple things about this that really bothers me. What Tim Scott says here. Let's show you what he has to say, and then we'll get into it. First of all, this is Tim Scott talking about accepting the election.
4 years of Joe Biden versus 4 years of Donald Trump. They're really excited to get back to the Trump years. And so I expect the election to be fair, and I expect Donald Trump to be our next president.
In terms of what he said, he specifically said, if it's not fair, as you're saying, you have to fight for the right of the country. And just this week, he said that he won Wisconsin falsely, Senator. So again, to the point, you voted to certify the election results of 2020. It's the exact opposite of what you said and did after 2020. Why would you want to be on a ticket with someone where there's such a fundamental difference?
There is clear facts here President Trump himself said he expects this election to be fair, he expects it to be honest, and he expects to win. That's what the presidential candidate should expect, and I expect the exact same thing. And frankly, the American people agree with him. This is an issue that is not a
No, not at all. What they're saying, what they've said, what they've repeatedly said, what Tim Scott is saying here is the election's only fair if we win everything. If we don't win, it's not fair, and we will not. He goes on there to say he will not answer. She asks him, will you accept it? Will you accept the results of the election if you don't win? All he would say is, we expect to win. We expect to win. They're telling you right here, right now, up front, before the election, they're not going to accept it. They're not. They win everything or it's all rigged. Folks, you can't give a damn. You cannot give a damn. When this election's over, and we will win because you will show up, you will vote, because the difference in this election is, do you get to vote again for the rest of your life, your children's lives? Will you accept fascism in this country? Or will you vote Democrat, and will we have elections again in the future? Those are your choices. So you will show up, you will vote, we will destroy the Republican Party in this next election. Tim Mitchell says, if Trump doesn't go to prison, J6 was just a practice run. Punishment needs to be severe to be a deterrent. Exactly where I'm going right now. When we win this next election, and we will destroy the Republican Party, they will do it again. They will try again to be violent. They will try to do anything and everything. They will behave criminally. You know, the false slates of electors in these Republican areas, that was, like you say, just a practice run. They intend to do that again. This time, they're not going to send the real slates of electors. They're just going to send the false slates. They learned from last time. When this election is over, you have to be prepared for what comes next. And I'm not talking about their behavior. I'm talking about what we do to them for their behavior. We're going to be imprisoning a lot of people. We're going to have to. They're going to make us. And you have to get your mind around that ahead of time. I don't want you reacting. I don't want you reacting to what they're saying and what they're doing when they're doing it. They're telling you ahead of time, we're not going to accept this election unless we win everything. And they're not going to. They are going to not send the real slates of electors in Republican states. They're not going to. Every state they lose, they're going to lose big time. They're going to lose in states they don't plan to lose. If you think the last election was shocking, wait till you see what women do when they row the vote. Republicans are going to get decimated in this election, and they're just going to flat out say, nope, we won. We won. La, 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 we won. La, 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 la. You need to be prepared. Because if we're going to keep our democracy, those people have to go to prison. We cannot play games. We can't coddle these people anymore. You need to be prepared for that. This is the other thing that I wanted you to see from Tim Scott's interview. This just goes to something that really pisses me off. We'll talk about it on the other side.
You were there for what is being described as an audition to be a potential VP pick with former President Donald Trump. So let me just ask you, did you discuss with the former president the possibility of being his running mate, Senator?
No, man, what we talked about this weekend was how bad the economy is for single parents like the one that raised me. We had a lot of conversations around the room about the importance of eliminating Bidenomics, about the importance of getting inflation back down to 2%. We were just better off under President Trump. Inflation, Kristen, was at 2%. And we had the lowest unemployment rates for African Americans, for Hispanics, for Asians, a 70-year low for women. We had the highest funding for historically Black colleges and universities in the history of the country under President Trump. So we were excited to have a conversation. We had no conversations about the VP pick, to be honest with you, to be clear, but we had a lot of conversations about the failures of Joe Biden and the success of Donald Trump.
A couple of points on the economy. Of course, the inflation rate has come down significantly from its high in 2022. In terms of Black unemployment, it was actually at its lowest rate last year, 4.7% in April of 2023 as compared to 5.3% under 20.
Exactly. Oh, we did great under Trump. Well, everything that Trump did before completely tanking our economy with his idiotic response to COVID, Biden's doing better by every metric. The only thing that they have to run on is inflation, and that's come down. It's 3%, a little over 3%. Mark Wagner says, keep saying it, vote. If you're a true patriot, then vote like your life depends on it, because it does. Great point, Mark. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm really sick of this. I'm really sick of this. I hammer Kristen Welker for all the softball she did with Trump. She did an amazing job there of correcting the record. We don't get this out of the corporate media. We just don't. We Democrats are always starting from 50 yards back because we outperform Republicans every time. But they talk about us like we're equal. We're not. We're better. We're better at governing than they are. And all the metrics are there. Every measurement is there. But in the corporate media, they try to keep it a damn horse race all the time. And they create this false parity that's not there. I'm sick and tired of being a Democrat and having to overcome that handicap. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the Republicans in the Department of Justice. I'm sick of the Republicans in the FBI. I am sick and damn tired of the uneven terrain in which we fight in this country, where we Democrats are always fighting uphill against the establishment because the establishment wants to keep those donor dollars coming into the news media. And I've had it. I'm done. I'm done. No more. Screw these people. Screw these people. Tim Scott sitting there pretending, Donald Trump and his Black unemployment numbers were the best ever. No, they weren't. The best ever are right now under Joe Biden. And you don't get to make up your own reality, your own pretend situation, and act like your fantasy land. We can't govern on fantasy land. We have to have reality. Whether it's immigration and their nonsense over Title 42 and fighting us to repeal Title 42 because it was such an immigration disaster, to fixing immigration now because of H5N1 and bird flu and doing the right thing, or economic data. We have to live in reality. We have to govern from reality. And Republicans are just living in fantasy land. Every Republican, listen to what they say. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. The economy's terrible. No, it's not. Not by any measure. We're literally leading the world. They came out just the other day trying to run on an entire troll push of President Biden is attacking the energy industries. Well, guess what? guess what? Well, not only are we leading the world in energy production and have more energy and oil production now than we ever have in our entire history, but they just set records in profits. The profit statements just came out from all the major oil companies. They doubled what they did last year. If that's an attack, by all means, attack me. I would love to see my revenues double. It's all fantasy all the time. And I'm done with it. I need a government that governs based on reality for my kids, for my grandkids. I can't do this shiny object nonsense crap that Republicans do all the time anymore. And you know what? I caught this unwrote note 48 says, well, Paul, can you explain the polls if Biden is going to win so much? Yeah, I can. Bud. Really freaking easy. Look at every election over the last 2 years, and it's the exact same thing. The polls have Republicans overperforming and the Democrats underperforming. They're off by as much as 10 points every damn poll. When you get the actual vote totals versus what the polls said they were going to be, because polling is broken. This is one of the major things right here that broke polling. They overweight people with landlines. That's just one of the major problems. Exactly, Michael McAndrews. You cannot trust polls or Fox News. The entire polling industry is broken right now. That's as clear of an explanation as I can give you. Well, folks, got to wrap it up. I got to get moving. I got to get out of this hotel room. It's been great talking to you. Thanks for being here. Almost had 3,000 people in the live. Hit the thumbs up button, please. Get this out that makes the algorithm, suggest this to other people, and as many people as we can get to listen to this need to hear this. We want to grow our community as much as possible. Reach down and hit the subscribe button. Hit that notifications bell in case something happens and I end up having to start a show late or do an extra special or something like that. That's how you find out. So pretty please, thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, and let's get this done. This is Old Texas Paul out. This is what I had for you today. Thank you for being here. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.